thoughts this morning is just too much for me to try to organize and remember later, so I thought I'd go ahead and just make it now. I had the, God, is it okay to say this stinks thought this morning? I mean, because God knows we hurt. And that we know, God knows we hurt, and that we think, man, this stinks. But He also reminded me not to whine and complain. It's okay to hurt, and it's okay to share with others that we're hurting. The Bible tells us to bear one another's burdens. But we need to make sure that when we do share with others, that it's done in a way that brings God glory. I think of Joseph being sold into slavery, falsely accused and put in prison. And the whole time he knew God had a greater things for him, and that he would just praise Him anyways. He just kept praising God, no matter what the situation was. I'm sure at some points he probably had that, God, this stinks moments. Maybe one or two. But he also knew God had promises. He also trusted God. See, Joseph couldn't see down the road to what God was doing. So he just trusted God, and in the end, God used Joseph to save the nation. We don't know where God has taken us or what He has planned. And we don't know what lies down the road for us. A friend of mine would always tell me when I'd say something to her, or how I would complain to her. She'd say, "Sister, God doesn't have a problem. He only has a plan." And you know, she's right. He does. And His plan is perfect. We just got to trust in Him. Show the world that God's got this. And know that in doing so, you're showing your strength. Well, not your strength, but God's strength. We bring Him glory. He gives us strength. Then when the world is lost and they don't know where to turn, they look at, and they see the things that you've gone through and know, hey, wait a minute. That person over there, they've been through all this stuff and they're still going on. See, Joseph had a dream that his brothers would bow down to him. I'm sure at some point while he was in the pit, his brothers threw him in the pit and they sold him into slavery, or when he was in the prison, I'm sure at some point he was wondering when in the world that dream's going to come true. Or even if it would. But you see, it did. His brothers came to him at the end and knelt before him. So when things happen and you have that "this stinks, God" moment, it's okay to tell Him. Just remember to give Him the glory. Whining and complaining don't help. But remembering His promises, that will. I've wrestled the last few days. A lot of my messages have been on going through stuff. And there's a reason for it. Wild, crazy, rough week my family's had was my daughter. She had a miscarriage. And through all of that, God has showed me so much. Yeah, I had a "God, this stinks" moment this morning. And He said, "Yeah, I know. But I know what's coming down the road. Just hang on to my promises. So that's what we do. Because His promises are perfect. And He is too. And faithful and loving. And I praise Him for it all. Because through it all, He doesn't change. Through it all, He remains the same. And through it all, He's never left us. So no matter what your situation is, know God's got this. Know it's okay to tell Him all about what you're feeling. He knows. But you can go ahead and tell Him all about them. Just remember when you're talking to everybody else, though, make sure you give God His glory. So just because things doesn't go the way you think they should, just remember they're going the way He knows is right. And praise Him for it. Because He's got it all in the palm of His hands. And I love Him for every step that He has taken us through. So I'll say God bless you and keep you today. Don't forget to talk to Him. Tell Him about your heart. Trust me, it's not going to come as a surprise. He already knows everything. He just wants to hear from you. And know everything's going to be okay. Because God's got this. Because He does. I believe in you. And I know God is doing a marvelous work through you. Depend on Him, trust in Him, and walk with Him. And see the difference the world will. Yeah, I just had a thought. I was trying to finish, but I just had a thought. The thing that God has been really hammering on my head for probably the last 2 years, 3, I don't know how many years. If you want to see the world changed, start with yourself and how you see the world. I think I'll take that advice today. Have a blessed day. God bless you.